dimensions. In the middle, there is the I, me, the I of this model. And at the bottom, there's the cultural, historical dimension, wisdom dimension. Because I think that if we lose contact with history and our historical roots, we lose something very important of our identity as well. Or if we don't try to work out those roots, human roots that we have in culture and history on the globe, so to speak. This is kind of one dimension, working with the history and the culture that we are embedded in, because it's simply part of us. So when we do that, we also widen our horizon ourselves. And then there's the in the other end of the spectrum, it's now I struggle to remember the English words, spiritual ideal dimension. Yes. And this could be religious, but it doesn't have to be, because like the story I tell about the Afghan boy or student, he was not a boy, he was a young man in his late 20s. He used forgiveness. We explore forgiveness in a dialogue, and I asked him 1.5 years later if we could have a chat about that dialogue, and he said, yeah, I can come to your office and I can tell you some more. And this was 1.5 years after, and he tells that this word wisdom, the concept wisdom, ideal forgiveness, he had used as a kind of a navigation compass in his own life ever after that one dialogue. And this, I think, is how the spiritual ideal dimension can function, that we have these virtues or ideals or ideas like forgiveness, wisdom, love, compassion, that we can have, like, I want to try to be a compassionate person. And sometimes we are not able to do it. I'm not able to be a dialogical person either always, even though this is what I have been working on for so long, and we're not able to, but still we can keep it as an ideal. And you don't need to be religious in order for that to be helpful. And then you have like the existential emotional dimension, this is the part that maybe together with the communicative relational wisdom dimension connects us to other people. And the existential emotional dimension is, to me, really about understanding your own feelings, and also your existential issue, coming to terms with the fact that you're dying, the fact that you will at least at some point you will lose people around you, accepting kind of those inevitable things that come to us in life, and be able, and this is not, of course, it's not easy, but I think wisdom is also about developing this capacity to endure whatever suffering life brings upon us also. And then the communicative relational dimension, which is really about this heart to heart, being able to connect to others heart to heart. And I guess, yeah, and when we do that, we both change. And I think this is where the healing, maybe healing can happen all around, but especially I think when you encounter a person like a teacher who really sees a child and are able to do the things that needs to be done for this child to be able to succeed in his life or her life, with school, but also outside school. it makes such a tremendous difference. And then maybe this child again will be able to help others just by being able to connect. So this dimension, and then you have the critical analytical dimension, which is what we normally, I guess, hold as mostly philosophical, but I think this is only a limited part of wisdom, at least, and philosophy as searching wisdom, as love for wisdom. So of course the critical analytical dimension is important, and we can't do without it, but it's not enough to become wise. On the contrary, you can be a very intelligent person and be like Hitler or like Putin or like obviously they're intelligent, and have a lot of critical analytical capacity, but maybe they lack some of the other wisdom dimensions. Because I think wisdom and compassion and love and wishing other well is maybe key, or the core of wisdom. And then finally, you have the practical ethical wisdom dimension, which is really the ability to act in a morally sound way with other people in the world. And of course, we can miss out, nobody are perfect, and we may make mistakes. We don't always succeed, but still, and sometimes it's the failures that really makes us wiser, or makes us get in touch with ourselves. So, and this could also be part of this practical ethical wisdom dimension, having made those mistakes that make you a better person, actually. So it's not about being perfect, but it's about, maybe, as I talk about in the book as well, having the will to wisdom, the willingness to be in a way that is healthy for yourself and for others and for the world, maybe. And then accepting that neither we or others always are able to. If that's kind of answers to your question there.
Yeah. And I love you have a diagram, and I'm going to try to see if I can get the image of that to throw on, to have somebody edit into this podcast so they can kind of see as you're describing these 6 dimensions. And I really love, it feels very integrative to me. And my sense is, when people think about philosophizing, it is kind of more critical, analytical, maybe practical, ethical. Like, that's the way I would think about it. And I think that's how most people think about philosophy. But then you bring in all these other pieces where you have the culture, and that, the culture you're embedded in, the history, all the people that came before you, everything that happened before you. It's a part of yourself, like yourself, the experience of yourself isn't divorced. It's not separated from everything that came before. And then the relational aspect, your ability to engage and talk to other people. That's also art. There's a lot of research that shows that our self is actually created through our interactions with others. Like, if we didn't have relationships, there really wouldn't be this sense of a self. And the spiritual ideal dimension, and existential emotional dimension is just kind of, what I feel like a lot of spirituality is really about, like tapping into these more deeper, meaningful, some of these words and some of these things that, like you mentioned in the book, the good, the true, and the beautiful, they're like words we can't really define. We use them, to kind of talk about other aspects. In other words, they're almost like these spiritual ideals that you can't really define, but that, we seem to experience. And those, like, we have this experience, and the best word we could, like, that was good, or this is beauty, or this is truth. So I really love how you put these pieces together, and it just has like this wholeness, a sense of wholeness to me. And Yeah, I wish that people can think about philosophy in this way, because I think it makes it a lot more alive and less kind of dry, how a lot of people think about philosophy.
Well, what I really regret is that I also didn't also give room for more room kind of for the body, but it is, in the eye inside there, it could be, worked out a little bit more, because I think that the embodiment of all this is really crucial. If we are to talk about wise people, it's because maybe they have embodied some of these dimensions. And maybe there's also kind of a bodily wisdom in being able to keep your body fit, even. Of course, we are dying in the end, but yeah.
Yeah, so maybe a seventh one would be a somatic dimension, but for me, kind of like the emotional and the relational communicative dimension almost feels like it has a somatic sense. The practice that I do, the circling practice, which, it has a lot of overlap with this. What I've learned is to kind of sense my emotions better, and with the help of others, because sometimes you feel something and you don't even know what you're feeling, but other people see your face and they can see your emotions better than sometimes you can. And you kind of learn to pick up on other people and also to sense into your body, like what's happening there. So it almost feels like to really understand, like emotions is the language of relationships. So our ability to understand our emotions and understand others' emotions helps us have better relationships and better communication and dialogue with other people. Like that's been my experience.
Yes.